Hey folks, Jody, Demling, and Michael McCammon here, our weekly podcast, CardinalAuthority.com. And what a busy time, Michael. We've got a huge football game tomorrow night. Seems like it's been forever since they've played at Papa John's Cardinal Stadium, but they're back tomorrow night against Duke. We have a we had a huge basketball scrimmage this week, media day this week. We've got all kinds of visitors on campus. Just a lot going on right now. I love this time of year.
Yeah, it's that unique time where basketball is getting going, football is really into the meat of things, and when you're a Louisville Cardinal fan, that's good stuff because not only those two, you've got soccer doing really well, you've got baseball continuing to ready to wrap up their fall ball stuff. I mean, you've got Louisville programs that are winners going all across campus. So great time to be a Louisville Cardinal fan with everything getting going.
Yes, it is. And Michael, I will say this when we go. Let's start with basketball because we know we saw the scrimmage the other night. We were both there. It's a new look. You can check out the highlights of the video at CardinalAuthority.com. If you haven't seen it, you can see it. Michael did an outstanding job of doing the video for that the other night, and it's a different style. It's going to take a little while for people to get used to, but I love it.
Yeah, it's pretty exciting. They were getting up and down the floor, and and Coach Pitino, kind of warned us as media and fans that were listening beforehand. Get ready to see some turnovers, get ready to see some fouls. Certainly saw a lot of those last night. Mott Stockman with the triple double if you include his 10 fouls or whatever. But yeah, the getting up and down the floor, a lot of pressure, and not afraid to shoot up the three. And we saw. With Quentin Snyder and Hicks and Ryan McMahon, these guys can hit the three.
Yeah, no, they definitely can. And for me, and it was great, I got a chance to sit, and I didn't put this in the thread, and I should have, but I got a chance to sit with Coach Jerry Jones during the scrimmage. He sat next to me. And my knowledge and knowing what Coach Pitino wants and listening to Coach Jones at some things that he was talking about, I'm really excited about it. I love the fact that it was mostly a motion offense. They just kept running the motion and making cuts and the movement. And I just think when they get this team together and they get up and down the floor like they're going to get, they've got so much depth, including, people always talk about, well, who's going to be at the 5? Well, they've got 3 guys at the 5. When Mango comes back, Mango Matthew and Giannis Mahmoud and Mott Stockman, they've got 3 guys that can get up and down the floor and really move at that 5 position. I'm excited. I'm excited for the depth. I'm excited for the talent, and I'm excited for the potential that this team has.
Yeah, I mean, Coach even alluded they thought they would have Nanu back, which would have given that wider, bigger bang type body down below. But obviously he's gone now, doing signing a 3-year deal to play in the NBA. So congratulations to him. But that leaves Louisville, as you pointed out, a lot more athletic guys that can run the floor a lot more. And what do you do if you don't have a big body? Move them around, make them active. And like you said, with that depth that Rick Pitino has, I think that's a great attack for this team.
Yeah, I definitely think so. And I do think, I've polled a number of people, and Coach Pitino wouldn't answer this in the summer, kind of gave me the hint, but I've polled a number of people around the program, and I've polled a number of people that watch a lot of college basketball of who will be the 3 leading scorers. I think it will be Donovan Mitchell, Ding Adele, and Quentin Snyder. A lot of people around the program think it's going to be Ding Adele, Donovan Mitchell, and Tony Hicks, which I think is an interesting little twist. And it shows that they believe that Quentin is very good as far as being unselfish. So it's going to be an interesting year. A couple of visitors this week. Nasir Little, who's a guy from down in Florida, 2018, a jumbo wing who is at Georgia Tech on Thursday, will be in Louisville. I'm pretty sure he's going to be here for the football game on Friday night, and then watch practice either Friday afternoon or on Saturday. And then Jordan Nawara actually arrived on Thursday night in town, and he's a guy who's down to 12 schools, 2017 class. He's a 6'7" shooter. He's down to 12 schools and is probably not going to make his decision until April. His dad's actually a small college coach in Buffalo. in New York, but the dad doesn't have time to take all the visits right now and wants to be part of it. So I don't know that they can get him switched over and get him on board before the spring, but I know Louisville's going to try this weekend.
Yeah, and you really like to see that how the interest has peaked, since Coach Pitino spent some time with him personally, turning around and getting that visit right away. Certainly a nice indicator for the Cardinals.
Yeah, it definitely is. And, it was 3 weeks ago, Kenny Johnson went to see him for the first time. Rick Pitino went back. They went back again. And now this week on Wednesday, before the scrimmage on Wednesday, early in that morning, they flew to Buffalo, New York, did an in-home visit with his mom and his dad. The kid goes to school at Vermont Academy, did an in-home visit with mom and dad, and made their way back to Louisville for the scrimmage. But from what I understand, it is a very it's a developing relationship, one that has really taken a turn for the good as far as Louisville is concerned. I still think they get Lance Thomas, and now I'm on board to say I think they get Lance Thomas and they get Jordan Nwora. If they get those two guys, you're talking about a really good four-man class.
Yeah, well, there you go, folks. I mean, that would certainly tidy up another top 10 class for Rick Pitino and his staff.
Yeah, it would. Speaking of classes, Tadarius Patterson, we told you somebody was going to decommit. We knew we had heard Tadarius was going to be that guy. Louisville parting ways with him. He won't be the last. I think they'll drop a couple of other guys down the road in the recruiting class. They've got a lot of guys that want to come in. Michael, this isn't a good week for visitors. You just can't get guys on Friday night. It's just so hard to do. But don't worry about that. They'll have a really good weekend next weekend for NC State for that noon game. And really, when it comes down to it, I think the Cardinals, you're going to have to talk about a top 25 class potentially in this 2017 class.
Yeah, right on the cusp of that now. Last I checked at number 29 and trending upwards as current commitments, are reevaluated and climbing the charts. Plus, as you mentioned, there's going to be a little bit of movement going on as this class continues to get shorn up. It's really that Florida State blowout that really helped draw a lot of interest from some of the top prospects throughout the region where Louisville recruits, and rightfully so. And then obviously how they performed since, even with the loss of Clemson, that interest continues to rise. So as they continue on throughout the season as expected, I don't see any slowing down with the interest. So, yeah, they're going to need to make a little move. And, you hate to make those moves, but it happens on both sides, and you need to do it before, sooner than later, obviously.
Yeah, and I'm not one, Michael, who I hate the college football landscape and the way it is and back and forth and all that, but I understand that sometimes you just have to do it. Sometimes you've got to be that coach that says, you know what, we just don't have an opportunity for you right now. And that's just the way, unfortunately, that's just the way it is for some people. We just don't have an opportunity for you. Unfortunately, we've moved on. And, we'll see. We'll see what happens down the road. But I think Louisville will get out of a few of those commitments in this class. And, a lot of people want to play with Lamar Jackson. I think that's – and the funny thing is, the guys in this class will probably never really be on the field with Lamar Jackson because he won't be around after next year. But they want to come here and be part of it, and I can see that. Yeah,
and then they're obviously being made aware that Juwan Pass is there. They're familiar with the offense and what Bobby Petrino likes to create. Not just and maybe this is a future podcast that we can do about how people view Bobby Petrino, but I think the recruits now are seeing that he's not just a pass guy, he's not just a 50-50 guy. He's a guy that, as we've seen from around when he's been at Louisville, a guy that really builds offenses around the strengths of his players, and that's really excelling this year. But what we're seeing though, I think, is also another podcast potentially is the discussion about the potential new signing day for college football. We've heard both sides of it. Coach Pitino, heavily against it because of the amount of work they have to do out of state, and that I think you see some of that come to fruition when you have these weeknight games and the back and forth as kids start to make their visits as well. So something we could talk about during the road for sure.
Yeah, Coach Petrino, not a fan of those of that early signing period, and I get it. Like you said, I get the fact that there's not enough kids in the state of Kentucky to go around for them. They can't build a program around it, and it's hard to get kids here on campus unless it's after the season. So I get that, but I think it's going to go through, and I think they're going to have to deal with it, and it'll be interesting to see how they deal with it. But you know what? They're dealing with things pretty well right now. I think it's again. You can watch our preview of the Duke game. We have a full preview video and our picks on the front page, the video and the picture on the front page now, so you can watch that. But they're dealing with things pretty well, Michael. And I still think to this day, and I'm getting ready to put up a story on the bowl projections. Look, the Orange Bowl's not a bad gig, okay? I get it. I know everybody wants to be, but the Orange Bowl's not a bad gig. And at this point, that's the worst that it can do, then I think you're in pretty good set. There's still a lot of time. There's still a lot of opportunity. And like Coach Petrino says, it's that time of year when I'm getting my names mixed up. Like Coach Petrino says, a lot of things are going to happen. There's going to be a lot of upsets. There's going to be a lot of teams fall by the wayside. They just have to take care of business.
Yeah, I mean, there's some crazy numbers I saw ESPN was spouting some a few days ago about, this far into the season, looking back on the previous college football playoffs, how many teams that have made it in and where they're ranked. And I think the numbers were something like 7 out of the 8 teams that have participated in the college football playoffs were not ranked in the top 4 at this time after week 7. So, a lot of different things are going to happen. There's going to be some upsets that leave people, that makes your jaw drop. There's going to be some head-scratching moments. Hopefully Louisville doesn't have any of those and it can climb their way back right in the college football playoff talk.
All right, he's Michael McCammon. I'm Jody Demling, and that's our weekly podcast. And we will be back next week. Again, check out the video preview, check out the picks, and we'll have full, complete game coverage at CardinalAuthority.com.